Hi. All right, so Geraldine actually had something pretty specific scheduled for today, and it was a bit of a background on ancestral soul shards. Now, this isn't something I normally go into, but I have experience with this level, so I figured, why not? She wanted it to be about this, and everything else has fallen perfectly into alignment with the way it was supposed to be, so I figured we'd follow what she was talking about and what she wanted to bring forward, and I hope I do her justice today. So, what we're going to be doing is getting a little bit of an understanding, kind of like we're going to expand the brain knowledge of the body in order to start reaching into actual energetic and physical spaces inside and outside of our bodies that tie in with multiple levels of just discomfort, things that don't feel good, that can create disease, it can create personality disorders, all kinds of different things that our physical bodies end up having embedded inside of us, often through no fault of our own, but were actually passed down to us. It creates a lot of the thoughts and the feelings and the idiosyncrasies of some of the random everyday issues we have, like that whatever it might be that you can't let go, that that you want to let go, that you don't like sitting there dwelling on it, and yet you keep on reinforcing that behavior. Like these are the types of things that it's like you grow up inside of a body where you don't really have much awareness in what you can and can't feel, and you just go with it. And as a child, you're just running around trying to have fun, doing what it is that you do until you start running into things that you don't enjoy. And this is where that embedding of trauma starts to occur. It's like if we have a predisposition for that type of a trauma through the genetic lineage, when we come into contact with that discomfort on the outside, it's easy to internalize it. It's easy to bring it into that space. And some of the people that I've been working with, they out here on the table, they already kind of understand what I'm about to be talking about here, but a lot of it isn't ours. A lot of it comes from a space where if you have an extreme amount of trauma that has occurred inside of a physical body and they don't transmute it, they don't take care of it, they don't release that frequency, then it passes down to the generation after. And this is where you end up with children who don't understand why they feel the way that they feel. Like, I'm one of them. I couldn't figure out why I was so angry. I couldn't figure out why I was so depressed. I thought I was broken. I thought there was something wrong with me. And it wasn't me. Well, I was the one acting it out, but I wasn't the one that created that space. It was my ancestry. And all the brutality that we have existed inside of for a very, very long time as a human species. It's gotten somewhat better as we get more evolved and more technologically advanced, but the past 5,000-6,000 years of human existence was not fun, and you had to get through it. Like there was nothing that you could do. A lot of the times they didn't have the opportunity like we do to rest and relax in the way that we can, to integrate our wounds and our damage into a space to where we can bring about healing. Like it was either you get it done or you're gonna die. And so they got it done. And they pushed forward, and they were tough people, like they're all you ancestors out there, y'all are badasses, thank you, like for whatever it was that you did, you brought us here to this space. But a lot of what they did was not consciously coherent. A lot of what they did was coping. A lot of what they did was making the best out of a bad situation. And we are the ones who have to deal with a lot of that. And if we go back, if we start looking through our genetic history, if we start looking through the world's genetic history, the collective traumas that individual races have experienced, that humanity as a whole has experienced, there's a lot of really, really messed up stuff that's floating around in the ether. That's been brought up a couple of times now. That right there is a perfect example of a very, very poignant genetic trauma. And not just for the victims of that, but the perpetrators as well. And those types of things echo down. Those types of things create behavior and thought inside of the now that would never exist if it wasn't for the predisposition of that damage. And war, famine, rape, all of these things that are incredibly brutal for physical survival, for emotional health, that have happened to all of our families, us, some of us included in that. But every single one of our ancestry holds some very, very dark things, as well as some beautiful things. And this is what's so important about the genetic connections, is it's not just the bad stuff. Our brains are hardwired to only pay attention to the negative, because the negative is what could kill you. And bicameral caveman running around out in the Serengeti, like that lion out in the distance, he needs to be able to see it, because it'll eat him. And then he can't get home and feed his family. And that is suddenly, even if it's not a lion, that bush that looks like a lion, oh crap! It's, oh, that's not a lion, whew, but your body doesn't know any difference. And it's like that space right there is, it's where a lot of this builds up, where a lot of this genetic predisposition for whatever the behavior might be, it's in there. Get to the point to where we can actually stop and observe, we don't even recognize that it's happening. My friend's dogs, they're little barky, but they crack me up because they'll hear something and then just out the door. They don't know what they're barking at, they don't know why they're barking, they have that little spark inside of them that just starts going off, and they can't observe it. They don't have the conscious ability to do that, but we do. And so when we start looking back at all of these spaces where we're hardwired to look at the bad things, to bring consciousness into that space and observe the bad things as if it's not bad, but it's just something to be observed, this is where we start to open up the doorway for the other things as well. Because yeah, we've got a lot of brutality in our history, but how much love? How many moments of epiphany? How many moments of mastery, being so fully immersed in what you're excited about, what you're creating, that you lose touch with time? Like, all of that's in there. Every single last bit. And it's not just the bad stuff. More importantly, it's predominantly a lot of good stuff that comes through. But if you've got something that hurts, that is inflamed, that's infected, that is causing you to not be able to pay attention to anything else, you're not going to be able to see the good for what it is. Has anybody like broken an arm or, like severely damaged their body to the point to where, like, are you going to be able to sit there and talk about how good your leg feels when your elbow's sitting there hanging out? Like, it doesn't work that way. And so what we have to do is go into where the damage is, because it's really obvious to find, and then heal it. And from there, we can start opening up that door, whatever we need to. Because I guarantee you, no matter what circumstance you're existing inside of, no matter how hard, how easy, how fun, how exciting, how uncomfortable it is, it doesn't matter what level of the spectrum it is, you already have the keys for what you need inside of you. It's already there. It's just that your mind can't access it. Your mind doesn't understand any of this. Your mind is only capable of perceiving and observing. And well, if you teach it English, sitting there and doing this thing too, but and so what we need to do is start to feel with understanding of why it's there, what's going on, and then just see if we can touch it. And if we can touch it, that's the first key Because as soon as you can become aware of something, even if, quote, touching it means only putting your awareness onto something that feels like it's a billion light years away, that's awareness of what's out there. And if you can perceive it, you can shift it, you can change it, you can make it alchemize into whatever it is that you're looking for. And me personally, I don't speak for everybody, but I personally don't like hurting. There are some people who, you know, they might, but I don't know, I haven't met any of them. So like me personally, I like to feel good. And if I'm experiencing something that does not feel good, I'm not going to sit there and let it run its course because I understand how it works. And so the difference between you know, somebody who's trained very well on these levels and your average everyday person is nothing more than being able to observe. That's it. And so when we start getting into that feeling cycle that creates the word loops inside of us and we're going into it, that takes up the brain power for observation. If you're sitting there talking because of the emotions inside of you, what you're not doing is paying attention to the emotions inside of you. And from there, we can start opening up multiple levels. Let me see, is there any more brain information around this that we need? So if we go back into like genetic traumas, genocides, wars, those types of things where there's a severe displacement and you have refugees, you have people who are scared for their lives, who are scared for their families' lives. They might make it out of that space intact, their families might make it out of that space intact, but there is a severe change in the way that thought coherent function and emotional coherence works inside of the body from then. If you are ever into a space, like, look at anybody who goes to war, anybody. I've got a bunch of friends who have gotten into the military and came back, and they are not the same people. Even the ones that didn't actually see combat, they were prepared for it, and just the simple preparation, the expectation, it changes who you are. These people react in pure instinctive panic, fight or flight, but it's all trained into a controlled panic response. And this is something that they will pass down to their children, not just through the genetic imbalance that they have created inside of themselves, but the way that they operate in reality. Like, my ex, she's got a really good example. Her dad, he was in Vietnam, and he did not have a good time over there. And he couldn't watch certain things. It would send him back into that space. He wouldn't see his family. He'd become extremely dangerous to be around. And even without passing down that genetic information, having to deal with that type of behavior through no fault of his own, he was severely traumatized, but everybody else had to walk around that. They had to learn how to step carefully inside of a space where it was potentially fatal, and that changed who they were, you know. And these are the genetic spaces that create a blockage, a space where there's no movement, where there's something that it runs into, oh hell no, not happening. And it's like it's trying to go through, and each time the collision gets worse, the explosion gets worse. And it's literally the inner landscape trying to tell the outer landscape there is something so wrong here and it needs help. But we never see it. We get stuck inside of the emotional loop, we get stuck inside of the trigger, we get stuck inside of the trauma, and then we act in ways that when we look back on, we're like, I could have handled that a lot better. And what we're gonna do is start to go in and try to find where those pieces are in our genetic history, those fractures, those breaking points of war, of trauma, of a space where survival was not certain and there was an extreme amount of fear. And from there, we're gonna use now, where we're safe, where we're comfortable, even if it is a little bit chilly in here. But we're gonna use these spaces from here to send healing to that, to try to bring that back, to bring it to our genetic lineage, to allow our ancestors to claim those pieces of themselves that they can't access. And I'm really excited to see how it goes. Does anybody have any questions before we get started? Let's do it then. All right, so we're always, as always, starting off with our deep belly breathing. So I want everybody to just close your eyes, and as you inhale, start to expand your belly away from the spine. Not trying to force any pressure, not trying to make anything strain or anything like that. Just simply opening up the belly. And then relaxing. We're going to sink into this, maybe 10, 11 breaths. And as you do this, I want you to give your focus to the breathing. If any thoughts come up, allow yourself to redirect towards the feeling of the abdomen as it stretches open. Redirecting yourself to the space to where the rib cage is expanding and you can feel the muscles stretching between the bones. And as you exhale, give yourself permission to be as soft as you possibly can. Don't push the air out. Don't hold on to it. Relax your throat, relax your chest, relax your tummy, and let the air naturally drain down to zero, to where you gently start to inhale and stretch the belly open, and relax it back down. And this is very simple breathing, nothing more than the opposite of fight or flight. Fight or flight is where you're clenching your pelvic floor, you're smashing your abdomen to your spine. You have that fast, shallow chest breath. We're not telling the body to relax with English. We're simply saying, I don't want fight or flight by doing this. And this starts to calm the surface states. This allows the alpha and beta waves of the brain to start relaxing into delta, to omega. Some of you might even drop into theta, where you feel like you are the cloud surrounding your body as you do this. And if so, congratulations. I don't get there that fast. But this is fertile ground. This is a space where we can say, I am here. And we can start to build what we want in this space. And as always, put that gentle smile on your mouth. And as you inhale, don't think about it. Feel like you're pulling the physical sensation of your smile back into your chest, trying to spark that feeling that makes you want to laugh. And observe. Pull the smile in, make the sensation happen, and see how it feels. You might notice one of two things right now. This might be bringing tension up to the surface. As you pull this in, you might be feeling something uncomfortable, whether it's an emotion, a physical sensation, or you're feeling all the tension dissolve away. No matter what you're feeling, the next spot is the same. We have to balance, we have to relax, we have to tell our bodies what we want, even if there's stuff we don't enjoy. So as you exhale, go as soft as you can, and anything that's uncomfortable or anything that's not soft, let it start to drain out of you, almost as if you're becoming a human-shaped hourglass. And anything that's not freely flowing, effortlessly soft, that's the sand that you let go almost as an afterthought. Feeling the gravity of the earth pulling down anything that does not belong. Feel this stillness, this softness that you're starting to expand. Recognizing this is energy. This stillness is a field. And as you exhale, don't just go soft and release. I want you to start to expand, as if you're trying to make this stillness inside of you grow. Finding the barrier of your skin and allowing yourself to expand beyond it, creating a bubble of stillness. A calm, soft space inside of you that's starting to get so strong that it radiates outside of you. There we go. See right there? You feel how the room vibration is starting to lift? You're not fighting things that you don't enjoy. You're simply creating so much of what you do that it starts to shine. As above, so below. Turn on a light in a dark room, and what happens? No choice in the matter. It's natural process. And I want you to start to expand your bubble, feeling your father, your mother sitting behind you. Inhaling your smile in, sparking that stillness. Exhaling and feeling your parents. We have such a beautifully diverse group. And yet we all intermingle if you go back far enough. And I want you to start expanding your bubble even more, feeling your mother's parents, your father's parents. And you might not know the direction you're going right now, but we're all meeting in a very similar space, much, much further back in time. And I want you to follow back into this time by simply expanding out to the next generation. You are one. One becomes two. Two becomes four. Four becomes 8. 8 becomes 16. And beyond this, it's a crowd. A beautiful crowd of smiling people. And you can see your eyes on a face in one space, your chin over there on another. You can recognize your posture over there in another. And they can't do this. Many of these people never had the opportunity to ever tap into this genetic field before they were gone on the other journey. But the physicality, the liquid crystal memory, the water that is passed down from generation to generation, it never forgets. And start to allow this crowd to sink down, almost as if they're getting heavy. Feeling each one of these people starting to think about the skeletons in their closet. Oh, there it is. Suddenly it's not so comfortable here. start looking back. Go further. Find the murderers in your line. Find the narcissists. Find the mongers of hate. They're all there. And recognize not a single one of these people would have ever done anything that they did on this negative level if they were happy, healthy, well-adjusted, beautiful people. If they didn't have trauma, none of this would have ever existed. Just like it's not your fault you were passed down these genetic problems, it's not theirs either. Does it give excuses? Absolutely not. We're all responsible for our behavior, even if the craziness inside is so overwhelming that you become crazy on the outside. You're still responsible. There's a piece inside of you that can say no. But without the predisposed damage, the chances of this happening are almost zero. And it's those cycles of atrocity, being hated, leads to you expressing hate if you don't heal it. And now is where we get to stop observing and start doing. Because we've got a good picture of all of this. We see, and more importantly, we feel. It's heavy, it's hard, it's uncomfortable, and it does not feel good. And there's a piece of each one of those dark resonances out there inside of us, which is where the magic comes in. We are a part of this system. Meaning if we decide to shift, the system has no choice but to shift with us. Don't run from your darkness. Don't run from where you came from. Look it square in the eyes and smile. I refuse to let you tell me how to feel. I see you, Starseed. I see you, old soul. I see where you come from. I see the majesty, that light. And that is where we're going to reach, almost as if it's a sun shining in the distance. I want you to feel your home shining through this physical realm to bathe your body in this light. And breathe deep through the gateway of your smile. Pull it in. And as you exhale, gently share this light with your family. Feel your genetic field, this crowd of people, almost as if you're the one who illuminated in the center, starting to catch the crowd on fire. Starting to see their eyes light up, those smiles starting to grow. And it's not easy. It's almost like fighting your own predisposition. It's like pushing against your own natural way. But it's not natural, and you know this, which is why this light of who you are, of what you know this world can be, drives you, pushes you, it enraptures you. It's a fascination, a love. And as you breathe deep, turn it on inside of you. Feel your space inside starting to illuminate, almost as if your bones are starting to shine light. Feeling your blood becoming luminous. Stepping up to the forefront of your genetic field. And start to grow. Inhale, almost like you're a balloon, and get big. Feel yourself starting to pull upwards as if the sun is magnetizing you, pulling your family up into this light. And start to blow the supernova of light out through everything that you can experience, far beyond this crowd, reaching for the pieces, those broken spaces of our ancestors. That archetypical mother's sadness at the loss of a child. The destruction of the masculine as everything he spent his life building is burned down in front of him. And reach for these pieces, not in fear, but in love. These spaces aren't bad. These are the ultimate wounds. Step up. Reach out. Grab a hold of these ancient broken spaces and bring them close. Hold them next to your heart so you can pour infinite amounts of love, cleanliness, beauty. Washing this mud free, finding those diamonds, those jewels inside. It would have never hurt that bad if their love wasn't that strong to begin with. And that love inside of there, that is the jewel. The pain was what hurt. The pain was what was trying to be avoided. But that gift inside of that trauma, that's yours. And it always has been. Even if it was coated with something that you don't enjoy. And ever so gently allow your hands to open. Let these jewels start to fall backwards into the crowd. Feeling them fall into the gravity of where they belong inside of the souls of those who came before. Sending it with a rain of golden light, of your absolute gratitude for those who set the stage for us, even if they set it in an awful way. Because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here in this moment experiencing this now. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to go in and understand what is correct. They lived what was not correct in a very unconscious way. so they could show us, so that we can always, always recognize what will never be birthed again. I want to open this space. Allow yourself to get bigger. Allow yourself to expand, going back further. Tens of thousands of years. Back into the ancient, primordial origins of human consciousness. That brilliant light shining in the distance behind crowds of countless individuals. And as soon as you can perceive, you have the power. This light, what you do with this is up to you. Just as it always has been. I did not do this for you. All I did was show you where to put your awareness. And you, magnificent human, you can feel. You are the I am. To all my relations, aho. Thank you.